Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all of you. This topic is for the class 3rd. And today we are going to start a new chapter, that is chapter number 11, Light, Sound and Force. Students, in this chapter we are going to see what is light, what is sound and what is force. So first of all, we will talk about light. What is light? Students, light is a form of energy due to which we are able to see the different kind of objects around us. Students, we are able to see because of light. So light is a form of energy which gives us sensation of sight or which helps us to see. Students, the main source of light is the sun. We all know that the main source of light is sun, and it is because of this light that we are able to perform our day-to-day activities. For example, students, you go to school or you play or any activity you do, you cannot perform any activity if light is not there. If light is absent, we can't see, so we cannot do anything. But it is because of light that we are able to see and we are able to do all the daily activities. For example, students, when the night falls, it all becomes dark and it becomes difficult for we people to see. So light is a form of energy that is very much important for us to see, and if light is not there, we cannot see the different objects around us. Students, in the daytime, sun is the main source of energy and it helps us to see the different objects around us. But when the night falls, how do we see? We know that we use different kinds of objects at night like torch, etc. to help ourselves to see our surroundings. Dear students, some natural and man-made sources of light have been shown on your book. But before naming them, I'll like to tell you what are natural objects and what are man-made. Natural objects are those objects that have been created by God. For example, sun. For example, moon. So any object which has been created by God himself, that object is called as natural. And what is man-made object? Man-made objects are those objects that have been created or that have been made by man himself. For example, you can quote different examples of man-made objects. But here we have been given the natural and man-made sources of light. So we have to name them. This is your homework and you will name these objects one by one as if they are man-made or natural. Now students, we will check one by one actually the light, sound and force. And first of all, we will check what is actually light and what are the different terms that are involved and associated with light. Students, light as I already told you, it is a form of energy that helps us to see things around us. And sun is the biggest source of light on the earth. That is the biggest source of light on the earth is sun. Students, you might be knowing the different objects like candle or lamp. These are the artificial sources of light or man-made sources of light. That is, they have been created by man. And all those objects which give us light are called as luminous objects. So what are luminous objects? These are the objects that give us light, or these are the objects that help us to see. So those objects that help us to see and that give us light are called as luminous objects. You can see the different luminous objects on your book, like sun. It helps us to see, it gives us light, so it is a luminous object. Lamp, it also gives us light, so it is also a luminous object. Number 3rd, diya is there. It also helps us to see and it is also a luminous object. Now, second one, non-luminous object. What is a non-luminous object? Students, non-luminous objects are those objects that do not give light. You can quote many examples of non-luminous objects that do not give us light. For example, paper, for example, etc. That is, the different objects that do not give us light are called as non-luminous objects, and those objects that give us light and help us to see are called as luminous objects. Now students, we'll see what is a shadow. Shadows are formed when an object blocks the path of light. You can see this is a tree here and this is the light coming from the sun. But what is happening? This tree is blocking the light coming from the sun, and by this blockage of light, a shadow of the object gets formed. And this is how shadow is formed. Students, similarly, our shadows too are formed when we block the light from any luminous source like sun or bulb or candle, and accordingly our shadows are formed. Students, shadows are sometimes smaller and sometimes they can be bigger than our actual size. So shadows are formed when an object blocks the path of light. Thank you.